Thanks for staying with the agenda this morning. Now, Agenda 2063 of the African Union lists 15 flagship projects as the key programs and initiatives to accelerate Africa's economic growth and development, as well as to promote a common African identity through the celebration of our history and our vibrant culture. One of these flagship projects is silencing the guns. In his acceptance speech as the chair of the African Union in February the 9th, President Cyril Ramaphosa expressly stated his commitment to make a contribution to promote peace and security in the continent's collective effort to silence the guns, emphasizing the important agency of the AU Peace and Security Council, the AU Commission and the collective membership to focus efforts on conflict resolution across the African continent, especially those experiencing protracted conflicts. Now, to talk to us about this theme ahead of Africa Day, we're joined via Skype by Lucky Masilela. He's the CEO of, Mr. Masilela, do we say ZA Central Registry or do we say ZA Central Registry?
Well, it's from the name, the CCTLD ZA, so we call it ZA Central Registry. Yeah. Others say ZA, but it's ZA Central Registry.
What is your agency's contribution to the Africa Month and Africa Day narrative?
So our company, ZA Central Registry, the ZA, of course, references the country code South Africa, and we are responsible for the administration of the domain name co.za, org.za, webnet.joburg, .Cape Town, .Devon, and .Africa. These are the names under our administration. Principally, the .Africa one is under the support or sponsorship of the African Union. So in this regard, we find ourselves tied to the African Union's programs, in particular Agenda 2063, and this year the theme of silencing the guns. So what we have done, we decided to do is, in support of this theme, we want to mobilize the African citizens. We want to mobilize the people around the world who would want to see our continent turn from this battlefield into farmlands and economic growth zones. And we want to get them to do this through a drumming exercise. Now, Agenda 2063 is written in Nelson Mandela Hall in Ethiopia, but we want all the citizens to take ownership of this program of silencing the guns. Thus, we are mobilizing people to drum on Africa Day, which is tomorrow. And again, because of COVID-19, we found ourselves not being able to do it the way we would have loved to do it, where people would be out in the open together and drumming away. But we are now respecting the social distance, and we're encouraging African citizens. River Kwanzaa, you can drum from the banks there. On Mount Rwenzori, you can drum from there. But in South Africa, what are we doing? We are drumming from the Freedom Park. We are starting at 6 in the morning tomorrow, starting with what we call the prayer for peace. So the drums will go on at the Freedom Park for 30 minutes between 6 and 6:30. And then at 11, the drumming starts again, it commences. And this is now when we are joining the rest of the continent. So what we have done is, in our Clarion call to the continent, we said we are going to be drumming at 9:00 UTC, which for South Africa is 11, for Ethiopia it's going to be 12, etc., different time zones across the continent. So we are inviting people to upload their drumming content on www.silencingtheguns, that's one word, .Africa. www.silencingtheguns.Africa. So this is what we are doing really to make sure that the entire continent is part of this program of silencing the guns. It is not only for the heads of state or for our leaders. It must be our problem as a continent and as citizens of this continent. This is what we'll be doing on this day. We have partners who have come on board. The South African government has been very supportive. Afrinic has been very supportive, translating our content into Arabic and French on our website. We have Tswele Khotso being very supportive on the sound engineering side. And of course, with the African Union, who is for us our principal under the Registry Africa, program. Yeah, but we're quite excited about this, and I hope if you have time tomorrow at 11, you can drum away and upload your content, and we will share this thing with the world. Now, this is the beauty about the final content. Once we receive all this media content, we are going to master it and create what I would call the drumming clarion call. So this clarion call will be used continuously to ensure that we can always have higher decibels than those of the gun, and we want to silence the guns. And this is what we want to do. This is what we'll be doing tomorrow at Freedom Park. Yeah. So inviting everybody to participate from wherever they are. Actually, even today, you can sign up on our webpage stating where you'll be drumming from. We have already a lot of Africans across the continent in the diaspora signing up. And I know tomorrow Dr. Khalane will be putting together something that is iconic, beautiful, that represents the 5 regions of the continent. So the drumming will not be only South African drumming, but the drumming tomorrow at Freedom Park will be representative of the 5 regions plus 1, which is the diaspora or the ocean across, our Africa. And the theme is just random. Whoever feels that they are not happy about the sound of the gun, they need to drum as hard and as loud as possible and upload into our URL, which is available, www.silencingtheguns.africa. Yeah.
Mr. Masilela, for those countries on the African continent that live under an operational democracy, such as South Africa, and might be dealing with other issues and not conflict, just give us a sense of which countries on the continent are currently experiencing conflict and what type of conflict.
Look, the conflict on the continent has been mainly in the lake regions, and this has been going on for an extended period. It's really worrying. Our presidents, from President Mandela, President Thabo Mbeki, they have tried to intervene in the lake regions, particularly your DRC. We have seen the wars at least coming to some kind of a quell in places like Rwanda, Burundi. There is peace now being realized. Unfortunately, the Horn of Africa, we are still seeing and hearing guns blazing, which is worrying. The area around Somali, north of Kenya there. And West Africa, we also are seeing some guns blazing in Nigeria. We're seeing some sporadic, activities happening in Mali and Chad. So then further north on the continent, we have Libya. So it's almost like if you were to plot this, blazing of the guns, you would see that it's mainly from your lake regions going to West Africa, East Africa, and North Africa. And this has taken away a lot from the citizens of the continent, culturally, socially, economically, and otherwise. It has displaced a lot of Africans who are now refugees spread across the world. And, it's the worst thing to be in the world, to be a refugee.
All right, we're going to let you go because of time constraints, but would like to have you back another time just to talk about the work of the Central Registry, which affects a lot of people who are working online these days.
Yes, certainly. I hope you have a co.za and you can work online. I'm using .africa. I can work online. A beautiful namespace which contributes to the economic growth of our country, our continent. So yes,
Mr. Lucky
go for it.
Mr. Lucky Masilela is the CEO of ZA Central Registry. Let's take a break.